Hey guys, thanks for clicking on this video and welcome to my review of The Matrix Resurrections. I had a few expectations going into this film. I recently rewatched the first three. I happen to not be in the consensus that the first film is the best out of the trilogy. I enjoyed the second film, Reloaded, the most. But, you know, it's all opinion. My expectations walking into this film, however, was that I really, above all else, wanted a clever and engaging story. They introduced some new characters. I had no idea how they were going to pick up where the third film left off. And it was important to me that I didn't feel like this was a cash grab, that I felt like there was a legitimate reason for the story to continue, and that we got some development of existing characters, but also some new characters introduced that I could relate to as well and kind of get behind. On top of that, I really wanted some type of satisfying conclusion with hopefully another sequel setup. And in addition to that, I needed a grounded, relatable through line. I didn't want the movie to seem like it was thrown together and then by the end of it there was no kind of takeaway. So that was important to me. And the last thing I really looked forward to, and this might kind of harken back to the fact that I like the second movie more than the first, is that I really wanted some type of progression in Neo's powers. Neo's powers kind of come full front in the second movie, and you know, he really comes into his own, and the movie opens with him fighting off some agents, which was just an impossibility in the first film. So in this film, I really needed to see the power set progress or on display again in different ways. So what did I think about it? What did I get? Did my expectations come to fruition? Let's find out. Okay guys, so let's talk about exactly what I did get from The Matrix Resurrections. We'll start by talking about all the things that I did not like, and then we'll end by talking about all the things that I did like. There was a lot to like in this film. I actually really did enjoy it, but I got a lot of nitpicks as well. So one of my expectations going into this film was some really great fight choreography. That's one of the reasons I love the first three films. They blew my mind as far as just pulling back and giving us long shots of hand-to-hand combat. And I always really enjoyed that. So that was something that I really hoped I would get more of in this film. Now, unfortunately, I did not. That wasn't the case. The fight scenes in this film and the choreography was much different. It was edited very choppily, you know, a very fast editing style, where you see a lot of back and forth, you know, editing. And that's just not my preference. I really like pulling back and watching, you know, these long shots with multiple movements. And it's just so impressive to me that they were able to do that in the other films. And I was really disappointed we didn't see that in this one. The CGI as well in this film, now it's hit and miss. Some parts you're just like, that looks a little dated. Even though this is a big budget film that has just come out, some of the CGI looks like you're rewatching the first Matrix. Now, it's not to the extent that the average moviegoer will notice, I don't think, but for me, I noticed. And one of the things that stuck out the most to me was this film uses a lot of slow motion. It's kind of like bullet time. It's almost bullet time from the perspective of the person that's moving fast versus the person that's seeing the bullet slow down. And there are a few sequences also where Morpheus and Neo take the red pill and they get kind of loopy from it. And I was always just like, what the hell is going on? Why are they acting that way? And there's like a lot of this like slow motion, you know, effects added to the scenes. I thought, bar none, all the slow motion added to the film looked ridiculous. It was not believable. It didn't add the effect that I think they were going for. And I think it just took away from the film in general. So Morpheus in this film, I do believe his character added to the film, but I don't believe Morpheus was portrayed the way you would expect him to be portrayed. He does some goofy stuff in this film, like physically goofy, like dancing around and being just silly. And I was just like, who is this person? That's not what Morpheus acts like. Morpheus is a very upright, kind of, you know, walking around like this all the time, just very strict, kind of like mannered guy. And the way he was portrayed in this film wasn't like that at all. So that kind of threw me for a loop a little bit. And speaking of the just CGI and the bad choreography to go along with that, I just got to point this out. There's one part where they shoot at somebody and they catch the bullet in their teeth. And I just, like, really? That's what we're doing in the fourth Matrix film? So during the same sequence, actually, Neo and Agent Smith are having a fight. They're kind of reenacting the subway fight from the first film. And Neo force pushes Smith through the wall. And the fight's a pretty good back and forth up until that point. And then we just cut to a scene of them standing around talking. Where the hell did Smith go? Why did the fight end? He just went through, like, typically agents or to anybody in the film would have just gotten back up and the fight would have continued. Like, that really confused me. That was a part where I was just like, okay, well, I guess we're doing this now. Another thing is that now Neo's not in this film. He's not in control of his powers like he was in the second and third Matrix film. And it took me a long time to just kind of understand where the film was coming from. And we did get a pretty good explanation. Not explanation, but I did come to realize that towards the end of the film. That didn't stop me from being disappointed the entire film leading up to that point. I was just like, damn, Neo can't do any of the things that he used to be able to do, really. And, it just kind of bummed me out because that's one of my favorite parts of the film was his powers and seeing them progress and seeing him use them and do things that other people couldn't and people just being awe of him for that. So now it's not a bad thing necessarily. If I were to rewatch it, it wouldn't bother me at all because I understand now. But the first time viewing, I didn't understand that. The entire film, I was just kind of bummed. And they did mention it to an extent. There, like one part in particular where they're like, someone says, "Oh, you can fly, right?" He actually tries to fly and he just kind of jumps and he's like, "Yeah, no, that's not happening." And I was just like, man, those kind of jokes have no place in these kind of films. These types of movies are more serious and more suspense-based and drama than comedy. And I think the comedy took away from that seriousness. So the Mary Vigilant shows back up in this film and he just looks like a ridiculous caveman. What the hell he's doing there, where he's been, what happened to him is beyond me. But I just thought he was just kind of, it seemed forced. They were just like, remember this guy? And then he was gone 2 minutes later. So I wasn't a fan of his cameo, which is basically what it was in the film. And speaking of not being a fan of something, Keanu kind of looks like a homeless person for this entire movie until the end when we get that payoff. So just like him not being able to use his powers, I thought the wardrobe that he wore throughout the film just didn't remind me of Neo. He didn't seem like he was Neo until the end of the film. And the first film, that's, it's okay because he wasn't Neo until the end of the film. But we've had Neo for 2 full films now. And for us to just have to watch Keanu run through the Matrix for 2 hours until we finally get Neo for the last 5 minutes, right? So that was disappointing. I'm not saying the movie's at fault for doing that. It's okay. If I rewatch it, it probably wouldn't bother me. But it bothered me my first viewing. And his powers, now they did progress, I guess. They didn't progress because he loses most of them. But the power that he had in Reloaded where he could stop bullets, I don't know if this is the same power or not. He just has this like force push power. I don't think, that didn't seem similar to the way he stopped the bullets in Reloaded. But he uses this power in a lot of different ways. But it's kind of like watching Dragon Ball Z and Goku uses a Kamehameha for the 700th time. It's like, okay, we get it. You can do that. Can you do anything else? In one part of the film, they're getting onto an elevator and he uses it to stop a bunch of bullets. And then they go up the elevator to the roof and then he immediately uses it again to stop a bunch of bullets from a helicopter. And I was just like, I'm getting force push fatigue over here, And one of the last things is go ahead and stick around after the credits here, but don't get your hopes up. This post-credits scene, the Catrix, it didn't add anything to the story. If anything, it took away from the seriousness of the film. Those are the things I did not like about the film. But like I said, there was a lot that I did like about the film. I enjoyed the film. This is what I enjoyed about the film. Now, the film is very meta, and by meta, I mean the film talks about itself a lot. It knows that we've seen the first 3 Matrix films. and it acknowledges that. The first three Matrix films, essentially in this version of the Matrix, those three films were games that Thomas Anderson had actually worked on and created. And this film to me felt like a mashup of the first and third Matrix film. I like all three films, so that was fine with me. I don't mind exposition, which there was a lot of exposition in this film. There's a lot of talking. It's kind of talky, but there is story development, character development during these scenes. So those didn't bother me. I know it bothered other people how talky this film was. Again, your expectation going in can have a lot to do with your experience. So just keep that in mind. Now, Lawrence Fishburne was not in this film. He didn't come back to reprise his role. Somebody else played Lawrence Fishburne. But, I didn't mind that. I enjoyed the movie being focused around just Trinity and Neo. And I felt like if Lawrence Fishburne came back as well, then it would have felt too much like a getting the gang back together kind of film. And we would have spent more time getting Morpheus back or explaining why Morpheus is back or just whatever. And it would have been, I feel like the film benefited from his character being in it, but Lawrence Fishburne not playing that character. So, and for the majority of this film also, or at least the second portion of this film, Morpheus isn't seen in a physical form. He's seen kind of like in this weird metallic like form. It reminds me of in Man of Steel. It's Kryptonian technology. I'm telling you, the Kryptonians built the Matrix. And that was just kind of cool to me because it's something new. It's something different that shows really how technology has progressed. And another way is that there apparently was a war between the machines. And some of the machines have defected and they are on the side of the humans. It's really cool. They're called sentient machines in the film. Like they actually have a choice. There's a lot of ways you can move forward with that in the future films. It's just something new, and I enjoyed that. And I think the franchise needed to move forward in a way like that. And something else I enjoyed was that they mentioned, well, what about the first three films? What about all the, Neo and Trinity sacrifice? And they explained in this film that did matter, and this is how it mattered, and that's why we have sentient machines. So I was happy they acknowledged that, because at one point Neo even says it feels like all that was for nothing, and that's how I was feeling too. So that explanation really helped me buy into everything. The music in the film was great. No complaints there. There's actually two parts, one for Neo and one for Trinity when that Matrix theme comes back that we're so used to hearing when somebody does something spectacular. And that really got me excited, and the film felt more like a Matrix film than in any other part in the film for me when I heard that music. There's a big twist in the film where Smith ends up helping Neo. I really, really enjoyed that because the Smith character in this film is likable. And as soon as that happened, I was like, yes, dude, let's go. One of the craziest parts of this film was how just savage it was. There's a part where Neo and Trinity are trying to escape these hordes of people. And similar to when the Matrix takes over a body and turns them into an agent, they were just taking over bodies and just using them to try to stop Neo and Trinity from escaping. And dude, just so many people leaping out of windows to their death. It was crazy. I was so surprised to see this film go there, but I was so happy it did because it added such a crazy realism to the film. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is insane. And again, at the end of the film, when Trinity finally confronts Neil Patrick Harris's character, she straight kicks his lower jaw off of his face. And I was like, dang! And then she immediately slits his throat. And I was like, dang! It was so unexpected and crazy, and like I said, it added some edge and realism to the movie that I was not expecting. And then one of my favorite parts of the film, in that scene, Neo and Trinity, you see Trinity fly in. Neo just kind of like pops up behind her. You don't know where he came from, if he's already there or what. But they're wearing suits very, very similar, Trinity included, to Neo's suit that he wore in the second and third film. The long black with the collar, right? Trench coat. Which I was just so happy about. And like I said, his wardrobe throughout the movie was disappointing. And then when I seen that, I was like, it made up for all of it. I was so happy to see that. And then the climax, this film ended the same way the first Matrix film ended. The music starts. It's a really fun rock kind of music. And then we learn again that Neo's learned to fly again. Him and Trinity both together fly up. And that's how the film ended. So I really, really like the ending. I understood the film. This will take multiple viewings for you to completely understand. There's still a lot of questions that I have. But overall, I think I enjoyed the hell out of this film, to be honest with you. So let me know what you guys think about this film. What do you think about my dislikes and about my likes? Do you agree with those? Did you like the film? Or are you in the camp that think this film shouldn't have gotten made or that it's a huge letdown? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more videos. And as always, I'll catch you back here for more reaction action.